What is the meaning of life? This is a question that has puzzled humanity for thousands of years. Every culture, every generation, and perhaps every person asks it at some point. But the answer? Well, they depend on who you ask. Is life about happiness, fulfillment, or service? Or maybe there's no meaning at all. To understand these answers, we need to look at different ideas philosophers throughout the history have shared. We'll explore some of the main ways people have tried to find meaning in life. Let's begin by looking at a group of thinkers called existentialists. Existentialism is a philosophy that became popular in the 20th century. Thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Søren Kierkegaard were at the forefront of this idea. They argued that life does not come with a predetermined purpose. Instead, it is up to us, each and every person, to create their own meaning through the choices they make. Imagine this, you are an artist, but instead of following a rule book that tells you what to paint, you are given a blank canvas. What you decide to paint is entirely up to you. That's the essence of existentialism. Life gives you the canvas, but you have to create the picture. Sartre believed that with this freedom comes responsibility. We are responsible for our actions and for creating meaning in a world that doesn't hand it to us. However, this freedom can be overwhelming. It's called existential angst. People might feel lost because there's no clear path. But according to existentialists, that's the beauty of it. Every decision, no matter how small, defines who you are. Existentialists tell us that while life might not come with a built-in purpose, the meaning we create is just as important. Maybe even more so because it's ours. What happens when you search for meaning but the universe doesn't seem to care? That's where absurdism comes in, an idea closely tied to the philosopher Albert Camus. Camus believed that human beings are constantly searching for meaning, but the universe is silent. There's no grand plan, no universal truth. Life, as he saw it, is absurd because of this disconnect between our desire for meaning and indifference of the universe. But here's the twist. Camus didn't think this was something to despair over. He believed that even though life might not have an inherent purpose, we can still live passionately and fully. In his famous work, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus tells us the story of Sisyphus, a figure from the Greek mythology who is doomed to roll a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down again for eternity. Camus says that we should imagine Sisyphus as happy, even though his task is never-ending and seemingly pointless. Sisyphus can still find joy in the struggle itself. The takeaway? Life might not hand us meaning, but we can find satisfaction in the journey, in the everyday actions, and in simply living. For many people, life's meaning is found through religion. Religious traditions around the world offer answers that bring comfort, purpose, and guidance. In Christianity, for example, the meaning of life is often tied to a relationship with God. The goal is to live a good life, serve others, and achieve eternal life in heaven. The Christian belief is that the God has a plan for everyone, and by following his teaching, one can fulfill their purpose. Similarly, in Islam, the meaning of life is to worship Allah and live according to his guidance, as outlined in the Quran. Life is seen as a test where believers strive to do good deeds, remain faithful, and ultimately be rewarded in the afterlife. In Buddhism, the search for meaning is about transcending suffering and reaching a state called nirvana, where one becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. Instead of focusing on an external deity, Buddhists look inward, aiming to find peace and wisdom by understanding themselves and the world. These religious perspectives give life a higher purpose, often connecting individual actions to something larger, be it a divine plan or a spiritual enlightenment. While existentialism suggests we create our own meaning and religious perspectives offer divine purpose, nihilism takes a different path. Nihilism says that life has no inherent meaning, value, or purpose. It's a philosophy most closely associated with Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche famously declared, "God is dead," which wasn't a literal statement, but rather his way of saying that traditional values, especially religious ones, no longer held the same power. For nihilists, this meant that life, as people once understood it, was meaningless. Nihilism can seem bleak, but Nietzsche didn't think of it that way. He believed that once we accept the absence of absolute meaning, we have the chance to create new values and live authentically, free from old constraints. While there's no cosmic purpose, that doesn't mean we can't live purposeful lives in other ways. Unlike nihilism, which seems like as void of meaning, Stoicism suggests that meaning comes from how we live. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus believe that life's meaning is found in living in harmony with nature, practicing virtue, and accepting what we cannot control. According to Stoicism, external events are not what give life meaning, it's how we react to those events. By focusing on things within our control, like our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we can live meaningful, fulfilling lives even in the face of hardship. For Stoics, meaning isn't found in grand achievements but in everyday moments where we practice patience, courage, and wisdom. Humanism offers a more secular view of meaning. It's the belief that we don't need religion or the divine to find purpose. Meaning comes from human connection, empathy, and progress. For humanists, life's meaning is found in helping others, improving society, and seeking knowledge. It emphasizes the importance of relationships, ethics, and cooperation in making the world a better place. Even though life may not have universal meaning, humanism shows that purpose can be found in everyday acts of kindness, growth, and shared human experiences. After all these different perspectives, existentialism, absurdism, religious belief, nihilism, stoicism, and humanism, are we any closer to answering the question, what is the meaning of life? The truth is, there may not be a single answer. For some, life's meaning is found in divine, for others in relationships, and for some in the very act of searching. Maybe, just maybe, the meaning of life is something we each need to discover for ourselves. The meaning of life might remain one of humanity's greatest mysteries, but perhaps that's the point. Each philosophy, each worldview offers a lens, a way to approach this big question. Existentialists tell us we must create meaning ourselves. Religious perspectives provide purpose through faith and connection with the divine. Absurdism shows us that life, though indifferent, is still worth living. Nihilism challenges us to reject old values and find freedom in the meaninglessness. Stoicism guides us to our inner peace through virtue, and humanism encourages us to find purpose in our shared humanity. So can we ever truly know the meaning of life? Maybe not in the way we might expect, but through exploring these perspectives, we can learn that meaning isn't something waiting for us to discover. It's something we shape through our choices, our relationships, and our understanding of ourselves. As long as we keep asking, searching, and wondering, we may find that life is filled with meaning, not because it's handed to us, but because we give it a meaning.